I want to ask you something. If you wanted to become a high-end athlete with a nice physique, shredded discipline, would you run from challenges or would you embrace them? Let me tell you a story. So I used to play soccer for a long time. I played from the age of 5 to the age of 13 and I played soccer at my local club. I wasn't, the best guy in the team. I didn't have any amazing accomplishments, any amazing trophies by myself or something like that. And I was always trying to trick my professor to cut some corners and do less work than needed because at that time I didn't have the discipline, I didn't have the understanding of how success looks like and how success should be achieved, what you need to do, what it takes to get to the top. Because I dreamed of becoming like Messi, like Cristiano Ronaldo, like Neymar. But what I didn't dream of is doing the work that they did, the challenges that they had, and the choices that they made. And it didn't end well for me. Let me tell you a story more specific on this. It was the summer of 2019, probably in August. And I used to go to training at 5:30 on a field close to my home. And in that specific day, we trained with the next group of kids that were like 1 year older than us. And we had like a different coach. I was always there, cutting corners. When the coach was with the back at me, I would stay and rest and do some jokes with my colleagues and stuff like that. And the coaches noticed that. And at one point, when I was doing the exercise, he said something like, "Oh, Seba, you got some fat this summer. What's gonna happen with you?" And I was aware of that. I was never a fat guy. I was still skinny, but I was skinny fat, and you could see that, right? Like my face was puffed and stuff like that. And I got that so personal. I was so ashamed of that. I was so hurt of that. And I didn't say anything, I tried to avoid. I stayed low, and then I got home and I thought about that. And that was the last time I went to soccer. You can imagine the impact it had on me. I didn't realize that the coach had like a tough, love, because he wanted me to improve. He wanted me to become more athletic, and he wanted me to, become a better athlete in general. But I didn't have that mind at that point. I took it like, a judgment, a thing to be ashamed of, and I gave up on my dream. It basically was a challenge for me there. The challenge was to get in shape back, right, to improve my skills and to be able to help my team when needed. Instead of doing that, I gave up on my dream and I stayed low. And that happened in all areas of my life after, because how you do it, one thing, you do all the things. In school as well, I stayed low. It also, like, the pandemic hit and kind of helped me because I didn't have to go anywhere. I could stay home with my camera closed. And being honest, that's one of my biggest regrets, giving up on soccer, because it had a big potential, of course. But that's still a win, and that's the idea of the video today. Every challenge that you encounter is just a way of making you stronger. It's just a way of making you acquire new skills. And it's like a win at the end. Even if it's a failure at first, you only fail if you give up, if you get down and get some feedback, and then acknowledge your mistake and see where you can improve, and then come back and do it again. You're gonna eventually win. You're gonna eventually go further and proceed. And that's the thing I want you to remember from this video. Every time you have a challenge, every time you have an obstacle, or for example, maybe you were in something similar to my situation, try and see that every challenge is gonna make you stronger. For example, in my case, if I did acknowledge that, yeah, I was like skinny fat and I wasn't becoming better at my soccer skills, what could have I done? I could have spent more time, training at home. I could have improved my diet, my discipline, and I would have been a different person now. Probably I would, who knows, play in the MLS or play at some big club. Who knows what could have happened. But I want you to change the way of sitting, because until recently, every challenge that I saw, every, obstacle that I saw it as a way to, make for me to stop. Because yeah, if that happens, well, that's so be it. I don't have to do it because the universe or God doesn't want me to make it, and that's why I need to change it. And you go into a cycle where you always change, because at some point there's going to be an obstacle, and at some point you're going to change because, oh yeah, this is not meant for me, let me try something else. And it's like a cycle of never ending, trying new stuff. And I want you to change your lenses. Instead of seeing everything as an obstacle for you, see it as a challenge to grow even better and gain more skills, be harder, tougher, and stuff like that. Remember this, obstacles are not meant to put you down. They are just meant to test and see if you are the man or the person who you really say you are. If I say I'm disciplined and I go to gym 5 times a week, then the universe, God, is gonna test me. One day it might rain outside. Will I go or will I not go? That's a test, and that's something that helps you build your inner strength. Now, maybe that's a silly example, but let's say you broke your finger. That's an obstacle, a very big obstacle. And it's a challenge for you to go to the gym and maybe train legs or train something else and not, hurt your finger even more. That's a big challenge. You could stay home and recover, rest, whatever it is, or you could go and still doing it. Why would you choose? Would you choose to go or would you choose to stay? That's gonna make a very big difference because we even stop for less than that. If the rain is raining outside, or if we had a bad day, if we woke up late, if we missed our alarm, or we didn't have the perfect morning routine, we stop because yeah, that's it. I'm gonna try next day, or maybe I should switch something because it's not for me. Well, that's not the case. That's just a test for you to see if you really are the person who you say you are. If you say you wake up every damn time at 5 a.m. and then one time you stay late and you don't wake up at 5 a.m., then you are a fucking liar. You lied and you are not disciplined. I want you to be honest with yourself. When you set your goals, you really want the destination. You really want to be jacked. You really want to have the money, or you want to have the skills. You want to have the experience that gets you jacked, that gets you money. Because for me, it's the experience more. Because when you build that type of skills, when you go to gym for 10 years straight, you're gonna get jacked, but you're gonna have a lot of experiences. You're gonna get to meet a lot of people. You're gonna get to do a lot of crazy stuff. Maybe you'll train in the rain. Maybe you'll train in, I guess, Bali or another country. Maybe you'll even train on a plane. The same for making money. Who knows who you may meet? Maybe you could write a book that's gonna make money. You could start a startup, a business. That experience is what makes it special, not a destination. If I gave you $1 million tomorrow, would you still be happier than today? Probably not. You'll just spend them and that's it. No experience, no skills gained, just the outcome. And this is so important. It's gonna give you like such an edge over other people. It's the way you see things. I want you to change that because until now you apply the same strategy. Whenever you see an obstacle, you give up because it's not meant for you to be. And that didn't help you with anything, did it? Because if you are here, you are trying to learn something new. You're trying to learn new mindset shift, a new idea that you can apply. So I want you to do what I'm telling you to do. I want you to get rid of this old bad idea that is not helping you with something. I want you to change it to something that helps you. I want you to change it from seeing an obstacle as a stopping point. I want you to see it as a challenge that makes you stronger, tougher, gains you more skills. And I want you to smile each and every time you have a challenge in your face. I want you to train your mind to have this thing in your mind. Each time you have an obstacle, each time you have an issue, each time something happens in your life and you are upset about it, I want you to smile through it. I want you to remember that that is a challenge. That's gonna make me stronger, that's gonna make me tougher, that's gonna give me more skills. And at the end of the day, I'll become the person I want. I'll become, the disciplined man that I said I will be. I'll become the athlete that I want to be. I become the businessman that I want to be. And everything that you do is gonna compound over time and you're gonna be able to reach the goal. The process of it is very, very important and you're gonna just make it if you go straight to it. If you don't stop at every corner, or if you don't just switch business model, if you don't just switch school, switch interests, switch focuses. Switching is not always good. You may hear that, yeah, it's alright to switch because you have burnout or whatever it is, but it's not true. Yeah, sometimes you have to switch, but that sometimes is like 1 in 100 times. Most of the times that self-doubt, that temptation to switch is just another challenge that God, the universe, gives to you to see if you really are the person who you say you are. You really are the person who is going to do what he said he's going to do, or she said she is going to do. That's a very big change of perspective, because when you think like that, everything is going to change. When you have a flat tire and you have to go to a business meeting, you won't stop, would you? You're just gonna maybe change your tire or call for an Uber or do something else to make sure that you're gonna achieve your goal, to make sure that you're gonna get the destination, the trip to it. Everything is incorporated into that. If you stop, if you have a flat tire and you go back to sleep, or you go and watch some Netflix, guess what? You're gonna be still the same person, and worse than that, you're gonna go down because you have a missed opportunity. If you wanna talk with me more and even need a live call, I have the school community that you can access right now. First link in the description, and I'll see you there. Now, the action step that I want you to take is this. I want you to see every obstacle, every issue as a challenge, and I want you to see the challenge that's in front of you. Maybe it is eating healthy, maybe it is going to gym, or maybe it is your job. You hate your job. All right, see the obstacle, see the issue. Maybe you think like, because you don't have time, you cannot prep your food and you don't have a healthy diet. See that. Or maybe because you have a job, you cannot achieve your dreams. See that. See the challenge, acknowledge it, and now we're gonna move on to the next step. The next step is to change the way you see it. So as I mentioned earlier, see every issue, every obstacle as a challenge. For example, if you have very few time to prepare your food, what you can do is develop new strategies, solutions are gonna help you, cook food in 10, 15 minutes and maybe do some big food for a whole week. The next thing that I want you to do is to change the way you see it. We acknowledge the challenge and then we change the way we see it. You have very few time to prepare your food. What are you gonna do? Well, find solutions. Even ask ChatGPT or stay in journal. You wanna cook food fast and be still delicious. Well, maybe choose one day where or 2 days where you cook for the next 3 days, next 4 days. Choose food that doesn't taste bad after a couple of days, and find solutions that are going to help you achieve your goals. For example, you have a job, you want to start a business and get rid of 9 to 5. What can you do? Well, you can shift it, see it from an issue, see it as a challenge, and then find solutions. Now, after you find the solutions, and you can find solutions very easy. You probably know what to do already. You probably know. Just focus on the essential thing. After you acknowledge the problem, you change it and you see it as a challenge. And now what you need to do is you need to act on it. Nothing will change, nothing will happen if you just change the way you see things. You have to act on it. And you act on it by doing the things that you need to do. And don't forget this, as long as you don't give up, you're a winner.